Hi and welcome back. Today we'll learn about the RSS Reader application. This is basically everything we learned with Visual C# 2005 Express Edition so far. So to begin, we'll look at the first two snapshots of our development effort. A snapshot is a particular period in time where we save a particular piece of work in a different folder and then discuss our previous couple of hours' work. This gives you different perspectives on the software development progress. You can also download each snapshot and use it as a reference if you're working on your own applications. So let's start by discussing snapshot number 1. In the first snapshot I created a new project called RSS Reader, and this is loaded in the Solution Explorer. I also created 3 forms: the main form, .cs, which is loaded in the main area. Then a little later we'll discuss the folder dialog .cs and the channel dialog .cs. So in the previous lesson we said we prefer to use an Explorer type interface, but we didn't have the skills required to start there. So we'll use something on a similar track. We'll select a single folder, then we can view all the RSS feeds which are associated with this folder. Folders let us organize our channels or feeds. Once we pick one feed, then all of the news items which have been collected from that feed will appear in this news items box at the bottom. When we select one piece of news item, we can see its content on the right hand side in the Explorer view. So the title, the date it was posted on the net, and then a window which lets us view the actual page where the article can be found. In order to view this in a full window on Internet Explorer, we can then click the expand link. So now let's look at the controls. First, I added something called the tool strip container. So in Toolbox you scroll down to Menus and Toolbars. There's a control called the tool strip container. So let's look at what this does. Well, there's my menu and my toolbar. You'll have noted from using some of the Office applications that they are highly customizable. So you can move the menu around to a different part of the user interface, or move the toolbars to the side, bottom or right side. Now the tool strip container lets you customize the UI controls and do that. So it's really a simple basic way for our users to play around with their application and customize it according to their needs and find things that they need for their application quickly. I started placing things in the tool strip container, and on either side of the form where the tool strip container is, there's some symbols which look like chevrons. By clicking on the chevron, it opens up an area where you can drag and drop controls. Then I created some space and dragged and dropped a menu strip control by selecting it in the designer tray at the bottom of our form designer. It also selects it at the very top. I could then customize the entries. So if you want to use the controls, you just select a space and start typing and adding things. If I wanted to add some menu entries to the file menu or new submenu, I just need to start typing. So I could type, "This is a test," and it would just appear in our menu. If I double click it, it creates an event handler for that menu item, and when somebody clicks it, I can respond to that and write some code. If I want to work with it in a property menu sort of way, I can just select the property menu, select items, property, and now I have an items collection editor which lets me work with each of the separate menus. This is on different levels. So the menu strip contains the file tool strip and the help tool strip menu item. In order to see the items below the file tool strip menu item, we'd have to look at its items collection too. This opens another version of this item collection editor. For this file menu, there's a separator and an exit, and a test tool strip which I just created. This will delete at this point, then click OK. The menu strip has an Insert Standard Items button, which is new to Visual Studio 2005. When we click this button, it adds the menu items such as File, Edit, View, Window, Help, etc. So when we clicked it added the File, Edit, Tools and Help menu, and it also comes with the keyboard shortcuts and icons. These functions you'd have to do yourself. They don't come as standard. You'd have to cut and copy and paste and select all and customize the options. Then we have the tool strip. To add a new item to the tool strip, you can go to the drop down and select and add to the tool strip button, a button or label or a split button, and many other things like the separator, progress bar, etc. So the menu strip and tool strip controls both have a lot of functionality in them. So I've defined 7 buttons. The way I these icons with the folder, plus, edit and delete, and then the channel plus, edit and delete, as well as this RSS refresh icon, is firstly I had a set of icons created for me for developing this RSS Reader application, and I basically right-clicked on a certain button and select Set Image. This let me select either a local resource on my hard drive or a resource that has been added to resource.resx file. So what you can do is local resource, click the import button and then find whichever file, whether it's the GIF, JPEG, bitmap, PNG file, find them, then select and click open. So right now the icons don't do anything, we still have to write some code behind each one of them. In the main area there is a folder combo box and I've given each control a distinct name. So I followed the standard naming convention and I've used the folder and then the type of control, which is the combo box. So when you want to develop the application, it helps you use some kind of standard naming convention. And you can say you want to work with that channel list box and then you can find it in code. This way it's not necessary to waste a lot of time thinking about what I named that control. You automatically know that it was a channels list box, etc. So it's best to find a naming convention which works for you. So for example, LST would be listbox, or combo box would be CBO, or text box would be TXT. But you don't need to have it in abbreviations. You can have them spelled out. There's also a web browser control which has been added to the designer surface. This is in the common control selection of the toolbox at the bottom. This is an implementation of Internet Explorer that allows you to view web pages. To show the web page, you would set the URL that we want the application to browse to, and that can be done in code. So use the line tool, make sure everything is in line, etc. So here I have used the label control, which I've called expand label, and when this is clicked for Internet Explorer to open with whatever is displayed in this window in full screen in an Explorer browser. So if there's lots of news items, it'll progress slowly. If there's a few, it'll be quicker. And next to this progress bar, which isn't visible, is a label control. So select a status strip, go to the items collection, and look at the items collection editor for a status label. The status label is basically a label control and will type some text based on the success or failure of certain operations that the user has done within the application. So if you wanted to add a new channel and it added successfully, we wouldn't put it in a message box, but we'd probably just write something on the status label at the bottom of our application that says that the new channel's added successfully. If the operation is cancelled by clicking the cancel button, then we might say that the add channel operation was cancelled by the user. So this basically informs the user now was or wasn't accomplished within the tool. So anyway, for now we'll just cancel this, but before leaving this I just want to, if I haven't already, set the tab properties or tab order for my user interface. So our combo box has a tab index 1 and the channels have a tab index of 5. Basically, I can go through each one of these boxes from the top left column to the bottom, and then onto the right column, top to bottom, and assign them a sequential tab index number. If you also remember from a previous lesson, we discussed how to use the tab order button in the toolbox. This lets us look at each control and then click on the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll click that off and then run our application. Basically, the user can only use the keyboard to navigate through each of the controls on the form. The other thing is the description text box. So we want to display on more than one line, so I entered the multi-line property and set it equal to true. Also, whenever too much text was entered in the text box, I wanted the little scroll bars to appear. So I set the scroll bars equal to vertical. Now it can contain a fair bit of text and you can scroll through if need be. Now let's look at the channel dialog. Basically, the intention here is whenever the Add or Edit Folder button is selected from the toolbar, we want to pop open this folder dialog. So if you want to add a new folder, you type the name of the folder, select the OK button, and it will then be displayed in this list of folders, and channels can be added to it. We can use the same form and dialog box for the edit function, so whichever folder select in our combo box and select the edit folder. This will open the folder dialog, which will have the folder ID and the name of the folder. We can change or edit the name of the folder, select the OK button, or select cancel if you don't want to change the name. This is also the case for channels. We can add a new channel or edit a selected channel from the channel list box. This way we can select which folder the channel goes in, give it a title and URL, and select the OK or cancel buttons. If editing, we can make the changes from the selected channel, which was selected before the button was clicked to open up the channel properties. Then again, click the OK or cancel button to make the change. So at this point we haven't done much in terms of code, we haven't implemented that functionality. So if I double click, I've stubbed out all of the code for each of the menu items, the toolbar buttons and also the main form. Stubbing out is basically creating some code which reminds us of what we need to do before the application is finished. So if I don't have time to finish my application but need to come back to it, then I need to remind myself it isn't done. So I can create a do item and type a comment and have a message box to display this reminder to myself or anybody else who might be using my application whilst I'm testing it. We'll discuss this to-do item in a later snapshot and how helpful it is in reminding us of things we intended to do. Now, on our main form we can click on a button and open up either the folder dialog or the channel dialog. Now we have snapshot number 2. And we'll just show what the end result of the snapshot was. So if you click on New Folder or Edit Folder or Add Channel or Edit Channel, one of the property forms will open up. Whenever the Folder Properties dialog is available, it's not possible to switch back over to the RSS Reader application. This is called non-modal or dialog. However, if I could switch between these two forms, they would be called modal forms. With the non-modal form, the user has to take an action before you can carry on using the rest of the application. So after this, I want to ensure that I can tell my main form whether the user clicked the OK button or the Cancel button. So when you click the OK button, I can open a test message box. Or if I click Edit or Cancel buttons, same thing is true when we're working with the channel properties. So here basically I wanted to get the simple things over and done with, make sure that my form can communicate. So after the easy thing, I would then concentrate on more of the complex aspects of the application. So now how did I do that? So first, double click on any of our buttons, begin with the Add Folder button, and then we have some code. Create a new instance of the folder dialog.cs. The next line of code, I'll create an instance of a dialog result object called result, and into that result object we'll put the results of the show dialog method of our new object, the folder dialog. So use either the show method or the show dialog method when you want to open another window. If you use the show method, then you put your windows in a modal form, so you can work with both forms and have them displayed at the same time. You can switch back and forth between the two of them too. If you use the show dialog, the user will need to work with the folder dialog and click either OK or Cancel before they can start working with the main form. Now I'll use show dialog because I want to get feedback from the user about what they accomplished. This way I can update and show this on the main form. That's the reason you would use show dialog. The show dialog informs us which button the user clicked, OK, the Cancel button. So we can check if the user clicked the OK button, we can act on that, or if they click the Cancel button or any other button, then we can pop open a message box. In this case, the user selected the Cancel button. So to make this work, we had to do something in particular with our folder dialog. So we'll open this and look at OK and the Cancel buttons. In the Properties window, I had a special property in order to get this whole system to work. I have to make sure that the dialog result property is set for both my OK and Cancel buttons. If it isn't set, then I won't get the results that I want. There's also other dialog results that we could add. So we had abort, retry, ignore, yes, no. So I'll open up the dialog depending on whether the user clicks OK or Cancel, then check the result against the list of enumerations. So dialog.result.ok, cancel, abort. All those possibilities that we saw when we looked at the list of dialog results for the command button. So I've done that for the Add Folder toolstrip button and the Edit Folder toolstrip button. Something very similar for the Add Channel and the Channel dialog. This would also be the same for the Edit Channel toolstrip button click event. So we've set up our project, have all our controls in place that we're going to use. We're able to open up the dialogues and then we'll implement these more fully in the next snapshots, which we'll do in the next lessons. So, thank you once again, and I'll see you again in the next lesson.